Silvio, if I know you're speaking tomorrow at the event, but I'd love to hear from you about, you guys have done a couple of conferences with the airports and different stuff. I'd love to hear from you what they talked about, what their problems were, and what you guys talked about in terms of potential solutions that blockchain could address.
Yeah, well, the conversation has shifted, I think, pretty significantly from needing more of like a shared cargo community system, a communication portal. Our idea was to do a sort of platform as a service that would connect all the stakeholders together, so that then we were able to track and trace the products. This year, when I was speaking at the ACRP, the Association of Research and I think the Aviation Research and Cooperative Program, the conversation was a lot around COVID and contact tracing. So I think it's worth noting that the cargo community system continues to be an important necessity and cornerstone to lay down a foundation of sharing data amongst other stakeholders in the system. But that's for the cargo. But we have the same need for the tracking and tracing of actual passengers and people that are flowing through the ports and airport. More specifically, COVID testing, maybe even on site, and then the refrigeration requirements for something like that, and the implementation requirements or something like that. What's become very evident, taking that natural evolution as a next step of those two things combined is now the need for vaccine distribution, and hyper cold sub-zero storage requirements that are necessary to make sure that the efficacy of the vaccines are maintained with these sub-zero temperatures, or negative 90 degrees or whatever, negative 100 degrees or whatever the case may be with the vaccine. And the GBA member lead for Haiti, and us worked together and collaborated on some of the cold chain solutions they were doing in Haiti for food and perishables. So there's a lot of overlap with that as it relates to here. But what becomes very clear to me is that as we close out the year and all the different stakeholders are involved, last mile logistics services, and micro fulfillment center and distribution centers, and tracking and tracing of refrigeration is going to be the most key. So all of these things are really coming together right now. And I believe that the Department of Transportation does have a comprehensive transportation program for the distribution of vaccines and the required refrigeration that goes into it. And so that tends to be, that's sort of the big idea. But now, I mean, out of all the different supply chains that exists out there that have been done for everything from even military tracking of to ensure, that things that go into whatever missiles are correct. This is even more complex than that. So we are in the middle of maybe one of the most complicated logistical integration and cooperation, collaboration, distribution efforts ever since the last World War, and even in the activation of the channels to go along with it. So and that's the 20,000 foot view, Gerard.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you guys were looking at essentially working in a regional capacity, like throughout the city of Miami, right?
That's right. The project started on a county to be a county-wide effort. We quickly realized we needed to connect more with Port Everglades as well, and digitize both of the ports. Now, what we realized this year is that the airports and aviation, for especially critical supplies like PPE and medicine, that the airports are really going to be leading the way for that. And so leaning more towards the airport, especially with all the cruise lines being closed, the airport took high priority and has become the de facto champion. I think that we need to be, all of us with all the chapters nearby, need to align ourselves more closely with and enable to speed up the supply chain of emergency goods distribution.